Hey guys, it's Miss Sour. Sorry I couldn't be there today. A meeting came up last minute, so today you get to use a video for your lesson. What you will need today is a pencil, a highlighter, and a protractor. I always have my highlighters over by on the front table, so you can get one of those if you don't have one. Same with a protractor. They're the semicircle shaped tools that you'll be using today. Also, you'll need to get out your warm-up that we did on test correction day because your closure is on the back of that. If you lost yours, you might check your file in case a couple people left theirs behind, so I put them in their files. If it's not in your file and you don't have your warm-up with you today, then you need to get a copy from the sub. I will have extra copies made up for her to give to you or him. Also, as you come in the door, you're going to grab your notes. They will be next to the protractors where I normally keep our warm-up for the day. So make sure you get all of that. As you can see, our warm-up, this is what the warm-up looked like. So if you are trying to remember what our warm-up looked like the other day, it had these questions on it. So make sure that you find that warm-up. Our objective today, let me hide this doohickey, is we're going to learn how to use a protractor in order to rotate figures around a point. So here's where we're going to start rotating. We've done reflections, we've done dilations where we change the size. Now we're going to start rotating. So we're going to turn them like you would turn around a point on this lesson. Because that would be difficult to do on the Promethean board, I'm going to be using my document camera for this. If I should go too fast, which you know I can do sometimes, feel free to pause the video, catch up, and continue. If you need to rewatch it a couple of times, you are welcome to do that. But I will do a few of the examples from our notes today with you, and then I want you to get some practice with some of the practice problems on your own, and then I want you to do your closure. When you're done with your closure, it goes in the front bin where we normally put it, and then you'll have a homework assignment that you can get from the sub to do after that. All right, again, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there for you today. It just is what it is. All right, let's get my document camera up and going. All right, so first thing about our notes is we need to talk about, with reflections, we had a lowercase r to represent reflection. With rotations, we're going to have a capital R. The 45 degrees tells you how many degrees, and that's what that little circle symbol means. It means degrees. So this means we're going to be rotating our figure ABC 45 degrees to get our image of A prime, B prime, C prime. So if it's positive 45 degrees, notice that. This is a positive number here. If it's a positive number, then that means we're going to go counterclockwise. I know that seems backwards, but that is how it is. So when it's a positive number of degrees, you're going to be rotating it to the left, counterclockwise. So that's what you might want to put into your notes, positive for number of degrees. All right, when it's rotating a negative 45 degrees or a negative number of degrees, that's when we go clockwise. So this is when we do it negative number of degrees. All right, so they've done a couple of examples down here for you. On this one, again, this isn't with a positive number of degrees. Our pre-image was EFGH. So this figure here, and what they did was they rotated 125 degrees. So when it's a positive 125 degrees, we go counterclockwise. So we're going to rotate it that direction. So now we have E prime, F prime, G prime, H prime down here. Over here is an example of when it's a negative 55 degrees, then that means we're going to go clockwise. So, oh, I see. So our pre-image was HIJ. That's what's in parentheses. So here's my pre-image. And clockwise means you're going to the right 55 degrees. Okay? So when it's counterclockwise, or when it's a positive number of degrees, we go counterclockwise or to the left. When it's clockwise, we go, or when it's negative degrees, we go clockwise to the right. So this, in fact, I want to highlight, this would be a good place to use your highlighter. So in this case, this would be my image, or my final picture. This was my pre-image. So when we rotated it, we ended up here. And this is what I want you to do on your examples that you do on your own as well. My pre-image is the HIJ. We rotated it over to get here, which is H prime, I prime, J prime. So get in the habit of always highlighting your final image, your image. so that we know what you started with and what you ended up with. Down here are the step-by-step instructions to do each one of these. So if you forget what you should be doing, you can always refer back to this page to figure out each step. So when we're doing a rotation, first we got to decide whether it's going to be counterclockwise, which is a positive number of degrees, or clockwise, which is a negative number of degrees. Then we're going to draw a segment, just a line, from a point on the figure A, from our pre-image, and we're going to draw that segment to a point of rotation K. Then we're going to, and I'll show you what that means when I do my actual example. Then we're going to construct the given angle in the right direction. So in this case, what they mean by point K, like on this image here, they went from, let's say, point H to point T. Because this is the point that you're going to have to rotate it around. So we're rotating it around this point T. In this case, we're rotating it around this point Z. So they will give you this point. That K that they're talking about here, that's their point. So we're taking a point from our image, our pre-image, and connecting it to that point that they give us, that we're going to rotate it around. So that'll make more sense when we do it together. Then we're going to construct an angle in the right direction, whether it's to the counterclockwise direction if it's a positive number of degrees, or clockwise direction if it's a negative degrees. And I'll show you how to construct those angles. Then we're going to use, they put compass on here. I just use a straight edge to measure the distance between K and A. Oh, okay, I see. So you will need a ruler. I'm not going to use a compass. I'll have rulers out for you as well. So you'll need a ruler to measure the distance from H to T in this case, so that you can figure out the distance. Once you figure out that angle and you draw a line, you need to find out what's the distance from H to T to get to the same distance from H prime to T. And we'll do that for every point from our figure. So once we do it for 1, then we got to do it for G, then we got to do it for F, and then we got to do it for E, so that we get all our new points. All right, then we're going to repeat the steps for all the points, and then we connect our points for our final figure. Okay, let's do one together so it'll all make more sense. Get a ruler here. Oh, I know why they use the compass instead, so you can get exact. That makes sense. All right, we'll just use a ruler for today, because I don't want to lose my compasses while I'm out. All right, so first step, they're telling us our notation right here, so we got to figure out what we got to do. We're going to rotate 45 degrees. Since it's a positive number of degrees, that means we're going counterclockwise. If it helps, you might want to put the little symbols above these clockwise and counterclockwise or below it. So clockwise is a negative number of degrees, counterclockwise is positive number of degrees, because sometimes a lot of kids get those mixed up. It's easy to do. So since we're talking about a positive number of degrees, that means we're going to go counterclockwise. We're going to go to the left 45 degrees, and we're going to rotate this triangle FGH around point K. So down here you see that figure FGH, and we're going to rotate it counterclockwise to the left around point K. So first step was figuring out counterclockwise or clockwise. Second step, we're going to draw a segment from point one of our points on our figure to point K. I'm going to use a pencil so that once I'm done, in case I make mistakes, I can always erase. But drawing a line from G to K. All right. And then since we're going counterclockwise, we're going to the left because it's a positive number of degrees. What I recommend doing is rotating your paper so that that point K is right on that point, or right in the center hole right here on my protractor. And then make sure that line that you've drawn from G to K lines up with this line on our protractor. From there, I need to measure out where 45 degrees is. So if you notice right here on the right, it goes 0, 10, 20, 30. You're going to be using the 0, not the 180 part. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. We're going 45 degrees, so that's halfway. So I'm going to mark that number of degrees by a little dash on my paper here. Okay, so there's 45 degrees. From there, I need to draw a straight line. You may want to make this a little light because we will be erasing some of it. We're going to draw a straight line from K to that dash that we made. So basically, from this line to this line is 45 degrees. Okay? So that's what we did. We created a 45-degree angle. Now, step 3 says that we need to, well, that is step 3, constructing that angle. But step 4 says we need to measure that same distance. If you're using a ruler, measure out the distance from K to G, and it looks like there's half of an inch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 15/16 of an inch is what I'm getting. So it's basically just one little dash below the 1 inch line. So that's where I need to mark my point on this line. And what that point is going to be is my G prime. So that right there is G prime. So the reason I want you to draw this line lightly is because we're going to erase the rest of this now. We got that amount that we needed. So I'm going to label that G prime. Okay? So we've done it for one of our points. Now we got to do it for F and H, doing the same steps over and over. So I need to draw a line from F to K. And then again, I'm going to rotate my paper around so that when I put this point, because remember, K is always going to be the point that's in this center circle. That's the point we're rotating around, so that's what's always going to be in the center hole here. So I put K on that point, line up this straight line on the right with the line I just drew, and we're going to measure over 45 degrees again. So I find the 45-degree mark, make a dash. Can you see that with the glare? So there's the 45-degree mark. Now I'm going to connect that. Again, do it lightly, because then we might be erasing some of it. Now, I need to figure out the distance from F to K so that I can do that same distance from F prime to K. So you can use centimeters or inches, just as long as you're getting the same distance. And again, I would normally let you use a compass for this, but I'm not comfortable leaving my compasses for everybody to use when I'm gone. So it looks like it's about 2.5 inches. So I'm going to do that same distance. Here. So this dot is going to be my F prime. So erase the leftover. And I'll try to leave out extra pencils for you guys in case, because you're going to want to erase. You don't want to use pen for this whenever we do constructions. And it might help to make this darker now that I've got the part that I need erased. You can make that darker. Same thing with the G to K. Sorry, let me make it to where you guys can see. So from G prime to K, I want to make that a little darker as well. All right. So what we just figured out was from here to here is a 45-degree angle that we just made. You don't have to write these little 45-degree angles in here. That's just for me to show you guys what angle we made just now. All right, last one. Got to do H. So from H to K, you make a straight line. You can use your ruler or your protractor straight edge. Okay. And now I need to draw a 45-degree angle from there. So this is going, K goes in the center hole there, and then that line is the line that I just made that goes from K to H. So that's what I line up with this dark line on my protractor. Now we got to create our 45-degree angle from there. So 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 45 right here. Make my little dash, and then we connect that dash to point K. Again, do it lightly because we'll be erasing some of it. So from here to here was a 45-degree angle. Again, I don't want you guys to draw that. It's not necessary. It's just me showing you there's our 45-degree angle we just made. All right, so now I need to find that distance from H to K and make sure I do the same distance from K to our new point H prime. So that looks like that's about, and this is why I don't like using rulers, because it falls into that whole around there category. And that's why compasses would be better here. All right, but this is what it is. So it looks like there's 1 inch. We're about 1 dash below the 1.5 inch mark. So that's 1 7/16 of an inch. So that's where I want to make my same mark over here on the new line that we just made. So 1 7/16, it's right there. So I'm going to rotate this back around. That is my H prime now. Sorry, I'm just looking. Okay. This I can erase. I guess I really didn't need to darken those lines because those aren't going to be lines in our final figure. Those just are the lines to get me to my points. So, lesson learned. All right, so now that I have my H prime, my G prime, and my F prime, I'm going to connect those 3 points. Now these I want you to make dark lines, or either we're actually going to highlight over them in just a second. So F to G, G to H, and F to H. So let me highlight it so you can see it better, because I know we get a bunch of lines on here when we do these rotations. So by highlighting, we can see our final figure. Let me scooch that up. So you can see now we rotated this image, FGH, over 45 degrees around that point. So we're rotating it around 45 degrees to get our F prime, G prime, H prime. I always love seeing the final product. So it helps to highlight it because you have a lot of lines on there so that you can see exactly what's what. So that's our first construction. One thing I forgot to answer up here is which direction are we going? We decided that we were going counterclockwise. And the reason being is because the number of degrees was a positive number. All right. First construction. Beautiful. All right, let's do another one together. Turn your paper over. Let's see how many I gave you. All right. Now we're going to do capital R means rotation of -80 degrees of triangle XYZ about point A. So since it's a negative number of degrees, then that means it's going to be clockwise. Because remember, clockwise is when it's a negative, sorry, let me scooch it over, is when it's a negative number of degrees. Counterclockwise is when it's a positive number of degrees. So which direction do we decide we're going? We are going clockwise. Because the negative number of degrees. All right, so this means we're going clockwise. So now instead of rotating counterclockwise to the left, we're going to the right clockwise. So going to the right. All right, so here's our figure. First step was figuring out counterclockwise or clockwise. Second step, we need to connect point A, because that's our point that we're reflecting or we're rotating around, to one of our points on our figure. I'm going to start with Y. You just draw a straight line connecting the two. We're going to draw a segment connecting them. And then since we're doing clockwise number of degrees, then we need to put our point on, we still put, point A is the one that we're rotating around. So that's the point that's always going in my hole here, my hole for the protractor. So what we need to do this time, since we're going clockwise, we need to put that line on this side. Whenever we're going counterclockwise, we want our line that we draw to be on this side, on the right side. But if we're going clockwise, we want it to be on this side because we're going to rotate that direction. So you want your 0 to be here, and as we're going clockwise, they increase. When we did counterclockwise, we wanted to start with our 0 over here so that when we go counterclockwise, then it started increasing the number of degrees. All right. So we drew our line from Y to A. We lined that up with this line here. Now, the number of degrees we're going this time is, it says -80. So we go over here and we find 80. So on the outer part of this, let me get that glare out of the way. So as we're going around this, we get up to 80 right here. So I make a little dash at that 80-degree mark. Okay? Now connect that to A. Again, draw lightly, because we will be erasing part of that. Now we need the same distance from Y to A to be the same distance from our A to Y prime. Now, what we just drew was an 80-degree, but it's -80-degree angle. All right, so measure the distance today with rulers, compasses another day. My computer's getting in my way. So it looks like, as far as inches, it is around just 1 notch below the 1.5 inch mark. Again, a compass would be easier for that, but this is what we're working with today. So this would be my Y prime. So let me erase the rest of this that went through my notes. Okay, so we got our Y prime. We're a third of the way there. So now I'm going to connect X to A. Make that segment. And we need to draw that -80-degree angle going that direction for them. So again, A is what's going to go in the hole on my protractor here. Line up the line on the left, since we're going clockwise, we're using this side of the protractor, with the line I just drew connecting X to A. And then we measure out 80 degrees starting from the left here. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. We are out here. So I made my dash. I connect that lightly to point A. And then from here to here, we made a -80-degree. Oops, not 180, 80 degree angle. All right, so now we need the same distance from X to A to be from X prime to A. So using your ruler, figure that distance out. So it looks like I'm at about just a notch over 2 inches. So do the same for this line. So right here in the middle of my notes would be my X prime. So erase the rest of that. We don't need the rest of that line. Just is in our way. So there we go. So we got our Y prime, we got our X prime, now we got to get our Z prime. So connect Z to A. And again, if I go too fast ever in this video, just pause it, catch up, rewind if you need. That's a lovely thing about videos. Making segment ZA. I now want to do an 80-degree angle from that, or a -80-degree angle. So I put my point A in this hole on the protractor, line up that line with the line segment that I just made from Z to A, and then count over to 80 degrees from the left side. All right, got my mark, connect my dots, draw lightly because we're going to erase some of that, And then we got to measure the same distance from Z to A to be our same distance from Z prime to A prime. So it looks like we're a notch over 3 inches. So I'll do the same, go in this direction. So that is my Z prime. I'm going to erase the extra I didn't need. All right, now I can connect my 3 points, my X prime, my Y prime, and my Z prime to make my new triangle. You can use either your protractor as a straight edge or your ruler. Connecting X or Z to Y, X to Z, or X prime to Z prime, and then X prime to Y prime. And then highlight. Why does my triangle look weird? That does not look the same. I don't think my X is far enough. Let me remeasure. This is why we use pencil. That was 2 6/10. Or not 6/10. 6. Oh my gosh, I can't count. 9/16. So 1 mark past the 2.5 inch mark. Yep, that's what I did wrong. My X is way off. So my X prime should be up here. Sorry if that screwed anybody up. It just happens sometimes, but this is why we use pencil. And this is why compasses would be better as well. So now I gotta erase that line that I drew from Z prime to X prime and my line from Y prime to X prime. But yeah, when you get to your final product, if it doesn't look right, double check your measurements, see if you made a mistake like I did. Alright, so reconnecting X prime to Z prime and connecting X prime to Y prime. Yep, that looks way better. Alright, highlight your image so that we know that's our final image. And that is way better. Alright, so we rotated it -80 degrees, which means we rotate it 80 degrees to the right. Lovely. Alright, let's do one more, or another one. I'm going to do one more with you. If you feel like you've got it by now, you don't have to watch anymore. You can do it on your own. You are more than happy to. If you would like to do one more with me, you are welcome to do that. And then just do this last one on your own. I may go ahead and just do both, and then that way you get, if you want to watch it, you can. If you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. And then for your closure on the back of that warm-up, you'll have a new one to do just for our closure. FYI, here's our closure. So make sure you fill out this box explaining why we're going, what direction we're going, and then do the rotation for this, okay? And that will be your closure for the day. Our homework, we do have homework tonight. It does not have any constructions because I'm not expecting you to take these protractors home and do this, but there will be questions on there for you to answer. All right, is this the one we're on right now? No. So we're doing rotating -30 degrees. We're going to rotate triangle ABC -30 degrees around point Z. So since it's negative, that means we go clockwise. So counterclockwise is positive, clockwise is negative. This one's negative, so we'll be going clockwise. The reason we go clockwise is because it is negative degrees. And that's all you have to say for your explanation as far as why we're going that direction. All right, first things first, we figured out that we're going clockwise. Now we draw a segment from one of our points, A, B, or C, to point Z. So I'm going to connect those two. I'm going to start with B. You can start wherever you want if you're doing it on your own, of course, but I'm just going to start with B. Once I get that drawn, since we're going clockwise, then we are going negative number of degrees. So that means we need to put the line that we just drew on the left to line up with the side on the left. Since Z is the point we're rotating around, Z is what goes in the center every time on this. So we're going negative 30. So we just go over here to 30 degrees. Make your dash. Connect that dash to point Z. Draw lightly. And there you go. We just need to make sure we get the same measurement. So same distance as B to Z is what we're going to have, the same distance for B prime to Z. All right. So we're about a dash below the 2-inch mark. So I'm going to go a dash below the 2-inch mark for here. So this will be my B prime. Okay. Now we're going to do the same for points A and point C. As you can see, since we've done a couple already together, I am going just a little bit faster as I'm telling you guys how to do these. And that's just because we've already done a couple together. If I go too fast, you want me to go slower, you have control. You just pause it or rewind and rewatch. All right, connected C to Z. Now since we're going clockwise, I'm putting it on the left side here. Lined up that line that I just made from C to Z with the line on the left here. So, and if it helps to remember which side, whether it's which side I'm putting this on, whether I rotate my paper and have that line on this side. If you look on your protractor, you can see going from 0 on up, to make it increasing to the number of degrees, this is going clockwise. So whenever I'm doing a clockwise rotation, then I need to make sure as I'm seeing the number of degrees increase, they need to be going as I'm going around clockwise. So that's why I'm lining it up with this side. Because if I had it on this side, this is going counterclockwise as you see them increasing. Notice that? So that'll help you decide which side of this line is going to be lining up with our line that we just drew. All right, so we're going clockwise 30 degrees. So go over to the 30-degree mark. Make your dash, connect that to point Z, and everything gets connected to point Z because that's the point we're rotating around. All right, now we just got to get that distance. The same distance from C to Z will be the same distance from C prime to Z. So it looks like it's exactly 1.5 inches, so that's lovely. So we just label C prime 1.5 inches away from Z on that one. Erase the leftover so we don't have too many terrible lines out there, because I know we get a lot of lines out there when we're doing these constructions, and it may seem confusing having all those lines out there. All right, so we got B prime, we got C prime, now we got to get A prime. Connect A to Z. And then we're going to measure 30 degrees using that line that we just drew. Put Z in the center hole here because that's our point that we rotate around. Line up that line from A to Z that we just drew with this line. Go over 30 degrees clockwise. Connect that dash. And then we just got to get that same distance from A to Z to be the same distance from A prime to Z. So it looks like it is about 2 dashes below the 2.5 inch mark. So we'll go 2 dashes below the 2.5 inch mark this direction as well. So this will be my A prime. I'm going to erase this extra bit I don't need. Not that I really need the other side of the line either. Now that I've got my 3 points, I just connect those 3 points. A prime, B prime, and C prime. Use a pencil in case we make a mistake and have to erase like you saw me do. It happens. But you should be able to tell once you've got it drawn whether it looks right or not. Because it should be the same shape and size as your original or your pre-image. It should just be rotated around. Oh, lovely. All right, so highlight your image So you can tell what's your final product here. And there you go. We rotated it around 30 degrees clockwise. Lovely. All right. I'm going to do one more with you, and then and that's if you choose. You don't have to watch this last one. But one more with you, and then I want you guys to do your closure and then your homework. If you finish your homework in time before the end of the bell, then you are welcome to turn that into the bin, and I'll hold on to it for you. Or if you don't get it done, then you take it home and finish it. All right, so we are rotating 140 degrees this time. Triangle ABC around point K. So 140 degrees is a positive number, so that means we're going to be going counterclockwise. Because this is what we do when it's positive. This is what we do when it's negative. So we're going to go counterclockwise. And the reason we're doing that, because it's a positive number of degrees. All right. It's important to understand why you're rotating that direction. All right, back to using a pencil. Step 1 was figuring out clockwise or counterclockwise. Step 2, connecting our points to line K. So I'm going to start with point A. Make a segment from A to K. Oops, let me scooch it up to where you can see. So connect A to K. Now we need to go counterclockwise 140 degrees. So when we go counterclockwise, again, put your point K on the center hole, line up your side or your line that you just made with the line that's on the protractor. Since we're going counterclockwise, that means going left. So I want my degrees to be increasing as I go to the left. So as you see, oops, sorry, shifted it. 0, 10, 20. We always want to be able to start from 0 and increase. So on this side, it's this bottom one. We're going 140, so there's 90, and we keep coming on over. We're going all the way over here. So we mark that 140 degree mark. Okay. Connect that to K. We're moving this baby this time. 140 degrees is a lot. All right, now we just need the same distance from A to K to be from A prime to K. So it looks like it's 2.5 inches. So we go 2.5 inches this direction. And this will be my A prime. If you hear a buzzing, that's my daughter's phone. She can't be quiet. All right, so there's my A prime. Now I got to do the same things for B and C. I'm going to do C next. We got to rotate that 140 degrees counterclockwise. So I put my point K on the hole of my protractor, line up this line from C to K on the right, because as I'm going counterclockwise, I want to see it go from 0 all the way to 140 over here. When I get to 140, I need to make that dash, and then I connect that to point K. Maybe do it lightly, and then we got to get that same distance from C to K to be from C prime to K. Again, a compass would be easier. All right, so we got 2 dashes after the 1 inch, so that's 1 and 2/16 or 1 and 1/8. So 2 dashes after the 1 inch would be right there. And there is point C prime. So we got 2 of our points. Always label your points too. It's really important to always have them labeled. So whatever you see me do, that's what I want you to do. All right, and let's do B, our final one. Connect K to B. All right, and now we need to make that angle, that counterclockwise 140 degree angle. So I'm going to put my whole of my protractor onto point K, line up the line on the right here with the line that we just made from K to B, because we're doing it on this side because we're going counterclockwise. So As I'm going counterclockwise around the protractor, I need to go from 0 to 140. Make my dash at the 140 mark, and then connect that dash to point K. And that'll end up creating the line that I can find my B prime on. Do it lightly. Measure the distance. So it looks like we're 3 dashes past the 1.5 inch mark. So 3 dashes past the 1.5 inch mark this way. So here is my B prime. Erase everything I didn't need. And then connect my points. So B prime to C prime, B prime to A prime, and A prime to C prime. And there is my figure. I'd love to see it work out. Highlight your image so we know that's the one that was created, not the one that was given to us. Boom. So now you can see we rotated that ABC figure to this A prime, B prime, C prime figure by going 140 degrees counterclockwise. All right, so the hardest thing to remember on these is just which directions, clockwise and counterclockwise. So remember, counterclockwise is a positive number of degrees, clockwise is negative. I know it sounds backwards, but that's what it is. And if you ever forget, look at your protractor. If I'm going left and curving around clockwise, or from the right and going counterclockwise, if I could think, when I go counterclockwise, it should be going from 0 on up. When I'm going from the right and going from this side to the left and going clockwise, then it should be going 0 and increasing as I come around that way. So that tells you which side to put measure this line up with the line that you made from the point to your figure. All right, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. If you have questions when I get back the next time I see you in class, then we will answer those questions. Do your best on your closure, and then when you're finished with your closure, it goes in the bin. Get a homework from the sub and work on that. If you finish the homework, get it turned into the bin. If you don't get it finished, take it home and finish whatever's left. And again, if you need to rewatch this, I'm going to post this up to a link on YouTube. I'll also post it to It's Learning if I'm successful with that. All right. Have a wonderful day. Be on your best behavior. See you guys next class.